Welcome back to the show. I am really looking forward to this one. It's one I've been looking forward to for about a week now since I got it in the schedule. It's our next Meet the Team interview with none other than Mr. Zac Bailey, a ZSonic, as he's known around the membership site. Zac is one of the most insightful and inspiring and creative people in my world. He's always a source of positivity and energy. I was joking to him before we kicked off today that it's a bit late in the day for me right now because it's a bit later than our normal live stream time. And he was like, "Don't worry, I'll bring the energy." I was like, "I know you will." Welcome to the show, Zac. Great to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Christopher. I'm super excited to be here.
And it's crazy. I don't think I've ever interviewed you before. We've done an interview with you on the website, and obviously you've been on Musicality now before with team roundtables, and we just started doing the Coach's Corner episodes. So people will be familiar with your voice, no doubt. And also you're all over the place in the members site for years now, so our members know you very well. But I'm so excited to have you as our second Meet the Team interview because you've become such an integral and invaluable part of the Musical U team. And it's been so much fun to watch your role grow over the last 5 years, I think now. And I'm looking forward to digging into that a bit with you today. If I may, I'm going to start with my favorite first question, and I know you'll have a good answer to it. What does musicality mean to you?
Woo, woo. I love that question. And we could probably spend the whole podcast just me talking about what musicality means to me. But, I think of it as a quality. It could be a state of being. But I also think of it as an ability, right? And maybe even you could call it a power. And it's not so much like a superhuman ability. It's more of a human super ability. That's how I think of it. But essentially, to understand what I think about musicality and what it means to me, I have to understand how I think about music, because music comes and then you have musicality, right? So music to me has sort of two states of being. We can think about music in two states, and there's unexpressed music and there's expressed music. So unexpressed music might just be like the desire to play, or you have musical ideas inside you, or maybe there's a melody in your head. That might be unexpressed music. And then expressed music is music that's out there. Other people can hear it. Either you're performing it live, or it's recorded, or it's some kind of music that other people can experience. It's out there. So to me, musicality is the ability to allow music and to come from unexpressed to expressed. So it's sort of that connection between those two states of music and being able to access that connection. So musicality is allowing this unexpressed music to flow out and become expressed. And musicality practice is when we build a bridge between those two areas. And when we start building that bridge, it might be a rickety wooden bridge, like one person can walk across, and it's your idea. So the person walking across the bridge is your musical ideas coming out into the world. And at first you might just be like, ooh, really careful, like these slats are breaking. I don't want to fall into this ravine below, but I'm going to carefully go across this bridge slowly. And then over time, as you develop more musicality skills and do more musicality practice, you build a stronger and stronger bridge until you got, Golden Gate suspension bridge, and your musical ideas are just flowing and flowing and flowing. So that's essentially musicality to me. It's the ability is musicality, and then there's musicality practice, which comes into your skills in order to access that ability. Like a superhuman ability is strength, right? That's an ability. And then a skill might be like being super accurate at throwing cars. Like I can throw cars into a perfect stack. Would be like a strength skill. So yeah.
Awesome. I love how well that aligns with our pillar belief of musical inside and out, that flowing of music from inside you out into the world. And it also reminds me of something wonderful you said in a Coach's Corner episode. I think it's one I was just checking the edits for. I don't think it's the one that went out yet, but you were talking about one of your clients in coaching who wasn't sure they had music inside them. And you were explaining how that desire to make music, that love of music, that passion you have for music making means you have music inside you, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's an interesting concept that says you would not desire to do something that you were not able to do. We don't generally desire to do crazy, fantastical things that are impossible. We generally desire things that are actually possible. And when we desire those things, that is the power wanting to come out. So musicality to me is also the energy. When you experience music, you feel something. Oh, I like this. You feel that energy inside you when you experience music. And to me, that's music speaking to the music inside of you. And that energy, that desire is the power to express. So that's why I like to think of music in two states. So we think of, oh, I'm not making music. I don't have music out in the world, so I'm not musical. But if you feel the need, even if you haven't ever sang or haven't ever played an instrument or haven't ever recorded or anything, but you feel a need or even just a curiosity, you're just kind of interested in it. That's the power right there. That's the unexpressed music. So we can, through musicality, we can develop the ability to express that music and allow it to come out. I think it's, you can take ownership. Say, yeah, it's in there. Okay, I'm gonna say, oh, maybe I haven't let it come out yet, but it's there. I'm interested in it. I'm curious about it.
Beautiful. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to rein myself in because, as you say, we could just stay on this topic for a few more hours. And I always love your the way you come up with creative analogies and insights and range from the profound to the very practical. I think it's something that's very characteristic of you and how you communicate. That adds a lot to the way we talk about these things at Musical You. I'm sure people are wondering, if they haven't heard much of your backstory before, like, who is this sage of musicality and where did he come up with this deep insight? Tell us a bit about your musical backstory.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Well, it's another thing. Like, oh, how long do you have? You want to do a whole other podcast on that? Because I've always just loved music. I don't remember a time when I didn't love music. Both my parents listened to a lot of music. Um, they both had vinyl record collections, and I loved, and CD collections, and I loved listening to them. And both my parents had completely different tastes in music. My dad was a person who's always listening to underground music and listening to new things. He never was sticking to one genre. He was always listening like all kinds of just crazy new music. I heard about all kinds of new genres and styles from my dad's taste in music. And so that just really made me very curious and open, and just, I always loved sounds, always loved music. And I never was like, I love rock music. I mean, there's been times in my life where I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling this style a lot, but it's always just been about music. And so that openness was instilled in me at a young age. And I've always loved dancing as well. One of my earliest memories is going to a Paul Simon concert. It was a Graceland tour. So it was like late 80s. So I was like 5 or 6. And I had a dance contest with my dad there. And we asked these ladies that were hanging out around who was the better dancer. I went up and asked them, a little kid, hey, who's the better dancer? Me and my dad are having a dance contest. Who's better? And of course they chose me as a little kid. Of course, yeah, I'm a cute little kid. Who's a better dancer? Of course they're gonna choose me. But I was like, yeah, I'm awesome at this. So that's sort of like early age. I had this like just vibe of like, I love music. I love all these sounds. I just want to openly, freely explore this. And also like, I'm awesome at this. I've never, it's I guess you could call it delirious, because maybe I didn't know how good I was at it. I didn't have really any dance skill or any musical skill at the time. And it's interesting because sometimes people say, oh, music seems to come really easily for you, and you have all these skills and creativity. And it's funny because musical skills, so that's why musicality is the ability, but also the skills. And so the ability I had, that was easy for me, but the skills were not easy for me. The skills took a long time. I played a lot of different instruments, didn't progress very far. I ended up finding DJing. Let's see, instruments, they quickly run down of all instruments I tried to play before. Like, started in like kindergarten, was violin, and I didn't stick with that. And then I went to piano for a while. I did some harmonica, did some bass, tried some guitar, piano, did I already say that? Various other random things. And I never would stick with them, and it was hard. And I was like, man, I can't even choose one. I didn't want to choose one. People said you had to choose one. You got to be a guitar player. You got to be a piano player. And I was like, I can't just choose one. And also, these are all hard. So I found DJing, and I was like, oh, DJing, I can do any instrument. So with the turntable, I got this lesson from Qbert, who's a big scratch DJ. He's a legend. He's amazing. And I took some online lessons from him. And he said to learn everything you can about music and apply it to the turntable, and pretend your turntable is saxophone, or pretend your turntable is a piano, and pretend your turntable is a drum. See what you can do with the turntable, thinking about it as all these different instruments. And that was really exciting for me, because I was like, oh, I don't have to pick just one instrument. And with the turntable, there was something about it. I just got it. Like, when I started getting into scratching, I was like, I just get this. A lot of people are like, this is really hard. I don't know how to do this, but it's so simple. You just move your hands back and forth on the record and make rhythms, but you got to have ideas in your head. And that's what I had. I had ideas in my head. So I just started letting them flow out on the turntable.
And if anyone listening or watching doesn't know what scratching is, can you just explain, like, how does a DJ scratch? What does that sound like? How does it work?
Yeah, yes, excellent question. So I got vinyl disc right here. This is just a normal vinyl disc, but it has been printed with the scratch DJs in mind. But essentially, and I didn't have these kind of scratch specific. This is like made for a DJ that scratches, and it's got samples on it. It's got sounds. So these little bands, they'll have like a series of sounds, and you can move. Essentially, you just put the record on. It's like a normal turntable. I got a turntable right here. Just put the record on, normal turntable. It plays. It makes sound just like a normal record. But the difference is when you scratch, you move it back and forth. So say I had a sound that was like, yes, then I might have it play forward, but then I could pull it back. So it'd be like, yes, zero, yes, zero, yes, zero. Right. And then I can start making rhythms. I could be like, yes, sir, yeah, yes, sir, yeah, 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 yes, sir, yeah. And so you start making rhythms with a pre-recorded sound. So essentially it's taking a pre-recorded sound, any pre-recorded sound on any record, and rather than saying, oh, it has to move forward and play forward and we can't touch it, actually you do touch it, and then you move it back and forth and you make new rhythms. So it's essentially just making rhythms with your hands by taking a pre-recorded sound and moving the record back and forth. Because you can move it forward twice, 3 times. You can move it forward and backward different amounts by like using pauses in your hands. So that's getting a little more technical and complex, but essentially you just move a record back and forth and you make rhythms, and it's really quite simple. And
Awesome, thank you. And I'm sure that starts to open up people's minds to how a turntable could be an instrument, and how, like you say, you could take ideas from other instruments or music or musical skills and apply them on the turntable. So where did things go from there?
Yeah, so I started I got into turntable, and then I was also into rapping. I've always been into rapping since that's like another part of the story. Is the first rap video I ever recorded was with my cousins. Again, it was probably like, I thought that's my aunt. I think she still has like the video from the camcorder, the home video from back in the day, like the late 80s. We did a rap music video. So I was into rap from a young age. I liked Yo MTV Raps, and I liked In Living Color because they had rap artists on there. So I was always into rap. And when I got into DJing, I was also getting into rap, and I wanted to make my own beats. And so I started learning how to make my own beats, and I started getting more and more into learning about music because, like I said, it was like, oh, because Kubert said, I'll learn as much as you can about music and apply it to the turntable. So I started learning about music theory and stuff because I was making a lot of beats and I was chopping up a lot of samples, and I was really good at that, at like taking other people's samples and making new things with them. And I got to a point where I was like, I want to make my own things. Like, what if I made the songs that people didn't sample? So I wanted to get into like, making music in a way with like melodies and harmonies. And I didn't know anything about that. And I started studying that, and I got obsessed with it. This was before I found Musical You. I was studying all the theory. I got really obsessed with music theory and learned a lot about it. And I'm pretty logical. I'm good at memorizing. So understanding the logic, the math, and being able to memorize like scales and keys, chords, and stuff like that was easy because I'm just good at learning. I've always loved learning. But I didn't understand how to make music with it. And it was frustrating because I would try to like, okay, well, let me take these scales and these chords I learned and try to make a beat with it that's cool. And it just wasn't coming out. It wasn't flowing. I didn't know what to do with it. And yeah, it was frustrating. It was like for a few years I was struggling with like connecting this music theory, and I thought that's what I needed too. I was like, man, why are my beats satisfying? I need to learn music theory. So I started learning music theory, and my beats still weren't satisfying. And yeah, it was rough. And so I found Musical You, and I loved it. And I started once we got through the foundations course, and I started being able to use my voice in a way to bring out these ideas. And Kubert even said this on one of his lessons. He said, say it before you play it. But there wasn't a lot of other explanation as to like what that means or how exactly you do it or how you develop that skill. It's a great idea, and I agree with it. I like to say know it before you flow it, but speak it before you tweak it. But I didn't really know that about like that process and that bridge building part of from the musicality to the musical skills. and it was frustrating. So like I got kind of good at the turntable, got really good at the turntable, but I didn't feel that I was good at music. And even though people told me like, oh, you're really good at music, why aren't you famous? And I just felt like an imposter because I felt like I didn't understand music. So now, like fast forward, I'm feeling amazing about myself, and I'm an artist. You know, I got music out. I perform live. I love it. I got more music coming out. Like I'm really feeling myself in my music, and just having a lot of fun allowing this music to flow now.
Fantastic. Well, in a moment, I want to circle back to that foundations experience you mentioned and pick up the story of your work with us at Musical U. But just tell us a bit more about what you're up to these days with your ZSonic project, the kind of music you're making. And I think we have, I don't think it's an exclusive broadcast, but I think we have permission to play your latest music video, which is super exciting. Tell us what you're up to these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Writing a lot of music, exploring a lot, and actually have a little team. You know, I got my partner Heather, she's our creative director, and I got my friend Aaron, he is our graphic designer. And actually Aaron's getting more into writing too, because we recently come up with this, and this is like not official, no official announcements. So like you guys on this live stream are the first to really even hear about this idea, but we're going to be working on a musical variety show. And so I'm super excited about that, because we have been releasing music. As you said, Christopher, we had a music video come out recently that's pretty awesome, and a lot of people really loved it. And it was sort of like, you know, I wrote a song, I produced it, you know, I released it, I marketed it, mastered it, did all the things. But it was just one song, it was just one single, right? And I was like, I want to go bigger now. So I was like, okay, team, we're going to do this musical variety show. So it's kind of crazy. It's something that I've kind of always wanted to do. And I kind of thought like, oh, I got to like build this career and then I can start this show. But then I realized, you know, I want to do the show. Let's do the show. That's the thing. So I'm going to build this musical variety show to sort of have like a live stream fun thing to like debut new music videos, and maybe also feature other people's music videos, have like comedy sketches and live performances and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. And
fantastic. Awesome. And yeah, if you're listening rather than watching, you're going to miss out on this video right now, but we'll have the link in the show notes. I definitely encourage you to go watch it. It is visually remarkable and really a lot of your character, Zac, and a lot of the style you have in the ZSonic project is beautifully exemplified here. I won't say more than that. Let's roll that video and let people enjoy your music for themselves. Here we go.
Chase me, then I learned to make them laugh. I was the class clown, acting like a fool. Then I learned to rap, became popular in school. I started making beats on Sony acid. I wrote a song about a girl I thought I knew. So I felt broke again, needed someone new. Asked myself to dance and put a pair of shoes. Oh, you look good. Chasing up my fresh sneaks came to dance. The beat is all I need for this long romance. Chasing up my fresh sneaks came to dance. The beat is all I need for this long romance. Step up to the spot, fit driven with the flavor. All I got is love, no time for a hater. See you later, I'ma get down to the groove. I came here to party, let my body move. I'ma do what I do, you can do you. You can ghost if you want, I'm not gonna go through. I'm not gonna cry when I'm looking this fly. I'm in sync with the beat, so bye, bye, bye. Birdie 7:30, like Ricky did me dirty. Now you're acting all 30, like you're trying to be my girlie. We're not doing this tonight, I came here to dance, we can't ruin this tonight. You done had your chance, but you lost your mind. Now you gotta look at me from behind. While I make love to the beat, looking real fly, new shoes on my feet. The beat is all I need for this long romance. Lacing up my fresh sneaks, came to dance. The beat is all I need for this long romance. Girl, you tryna flirt, but you can't get with it now. Already been hurt by the blows you delivered. And I know you got your roles in the quiver, so I focus on my goals and forget you. I don't need you to validate me. Nope, now that I'm cool and you wanna date me, you must be tripping or straight up crazy. Cause I quit the game after the way you play with me. I'm a man with a plan for my dream. I came here to dance and spread love to every beat. My keys are on point, my scratches are hot, my beats are on fire, and my flow is everything. I'm a king and a so I don't need you. All I need is these two big feet. Now I'ma dance it out to the beat, serving up heat. Shit in my new shoes. Lacing up my fresh sneaks, came to dance. The beat is all I need for this long romance. Lacing up my fresh sneaks, came to dance. The beat is all I need for this long romance.
Amazing. That was Funk Romance by ZSonic, and the web address is zsonic.party. If you go to zsonic.party in your browser, we'll have the link in the show notes. You can watch that video. You can get access to a bunch of Zac's music too. And just, yeah, so impressive. I remember when you shared that with the team, I was like, wow, like writing, rapping, singing, dancing, video production, scratching, all the arrangement, all the production. Like that's a big project, and it's so impressive for one person. And you obviously have help from Heather and Aaron, but still, like that's an impressive skill set you've built.
Yes, thank you. And check this out. This is the actual shoes.
Love it.
So you saw Heather in the video. She was dancing with me. That she's also the creative director, and she made these shoes. So it's pretty stoked.
Amazing. I presume you wear those on a daily basis.
I have to. Yeah, just found this. No, actually, they got a. I thought about putting them under glass and like putting them on the website and selling them for like $5,000 or something.
Nice. So let's circle back to when you popped up in the Foundations course, because I remember I was thinking about it this morning. Like there were two things that were really distinctive about you, and one I think people can probably guess from having just listened to or watched Funk Romance. And if you weren't dancing along as you listened, you're crazy. But, I talked in a video this week about how at Musical U, we always have to be careful, because if we mention one instrument or one style, it alienates anyone who doesn't play that instrument or that style. And obviously inside Musical U, we have this incredibly diverse group of musicians playing every instrument and style imaginable, all different ages and abilities and so on. But I have to say, even amongst like the mountain dulcimer players and the blues harmonica players, when you showed up in Foundations and you were like, yeah, I'm primarily a DJ, a scratch DJ, I was like, interesting. I wonder how this is going to work out. And so I think that was definitely remarkable. And I remember admiring at the time that someone who was in that world that is typically not super in touch with the traditional classical music theory or the kind of ear training we would be working on at Musical U, I really admired that you were exploring that side too. And the other really distinctive thing, and I think I said it to you at the time, I certainly said it to you when we, interviewed you for a position with the team, was your attitude and your energy. And, you were showing up, that first group of Foundation students were amazing. Like that first cohort was kind of magical, but you definitely showed a supportive and creative and excited energy throughout that 6-week course that made you stand out. And I'd love to hear a little bit about how that method landed with you. I don't want to spend too much time on it, like that's not what we're here to talk about, but I'm just curious to know, if you look back now, what was interesting or useful for you from the Foundations material?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love that question. And so I have a whiteboard right over there. It's got some beat blanks and rhythm syllables on it right now. So I still use it. I love it. At the end of when I finished the Foundations course the first time, and actually I went through it 3 times. And for anyone out there that's like any members that are doing it or struggling with it, it was hard for me, especially the solfa part. The solfa part was hard for me. But one of the really cool things that was very helpful was before I did the Foundations course, I thought playing by ear was just like melody, like being able to hear a song and then being able to like play that song on your instrument or sing it or whatever. And I never considered the rhythm aspect or the beat aspect, the pulse. So being able to tap in, to find my way into playing by ear through finding pulses and finding the rhythms was really like ear opening and brain opening for me. I loved that. And also the fusion. So it's integrated, like it's a holistic like musical experience, because foundations taught me how to listen. It taught me how to express with my voice. It taught me how to like tap these beat blanks and clap the pulse and clap the rhythms and sing melodic contours and sing solfeges and all these different tools. And then also to take all those tools and be able to like transcribe a melody, or and then like improvise with those ideas and compose your own thing. And it was all in this flow, and you could do all that in, you know, one session, 10-15 minutes. You listened, you transcribe a melody, you improvise something, you compose something, and it's like that is like super powerful and something that I continue to integrate in my life. At the end of the foundations course, and someone asked Anne on a Q&A call, Anne Mileski, woo, shout out, she's amazing. They said, how do we, you know, what do we do now that the course is over, right? And she was basically like, don't stop practicing, just keep using these tools. And that I haven't stopped. So if Anne hears this, I never stopped.
Awesome. I will make sure to send her the link. She'll be glad to hear that. And so like you stood out in a really good way, and generally I would say we have very high standards for our team at Musical U, and most of the time we hire people because there's a clear need, and we figure out the job spec and we put out and we get applicants and we interview and so on. You were the reverse. You're one of only a couple of cases where the exact opposite happened, and we spotted you. I was like, he should be on our team. Let's find where he can go. And so you joined the team initially just doing a little bit of member support work, right? Tell us a bit about how your role has evolved from there over the last 5 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's evolved. It's been awesome. I've loved every minute. And yeah, it started just like, you know, just a little bit of member support, I think, replying to people in foundations, because that's essentially like, I was already, as a student, I was like putting replies in there every day. So I was kind of doing what I was already doing, but from a more authoritative perspective, doing little replies, and then got into doing like, I believe the podcast show notes, and like putting the podcast show notes on the website, and got into some like customer service stuff and social media. I think before social media, or before customer service, I was like helping post to Facebook, doing social media stuff. And yeah, got into customer service stuff. Also helped a lot with implementing a lot of the courses and the living music program. That was a big thing. Helped implement that, and did a lot of audio stuff too. Made a lot of audio tracks and did a lot of things. I remember at one point, like at the beginning, it was like I was just doing whatever anyone asked me to do that was kind of that needed to be done. And at one point I told Adam, I was like, man, I'm doing all these things, but I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what's my role? I have all these duties, but I'm not sure what my role is. And then Adam was really great at like finding where people fit really well. And he's like, member support, that's your thing, right? Like, that's what you love. That's what you like to do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I like to do. I love the member support. I love connecting with the members. So Adam started shifting me more into doing more and more stuff with the members. He started taking things off my plate, like the social media and the customer service, and the team started growing. So we had more people to do that stuff. So I started focusing more and more on the member support, and that's been really amazing. And then through that, I've evolved into the head of member success, which has been awesome. So I love, you know, connecting more and more with members. And I remember I also started doing calls. I remember the first time that I was asked to like host a resident pro call. I was really nervous, like hosting, I think it was maybe Steve Lawson, because Steve is really cool. So they're like, yeah, Steve, that'll be a good one for Zach to get started with, because Steve's pretty cool. He's chill, right? It won't be hard. But I was really, really nervous to even do one call. And now I do calls all the time, and I love it. I love doing calls. And since then I've become a next level coach too. And I remember it was probably maybe like, I don't know how long ago, maybe 2 years ago, when you first asked me, Christopher, like, oh, would you be interested in being a coach? And I was like, yes, but I'm terrified of that. That sounds crazy. I don't know if I can do that, but yes, I want to do that, because that's another thing I got from Adam was always stepping up to challenges. He said one time, if Christopher's asking me to do something, it's because he knows that I will grow into it and be awesome at it. And even if it's terrifying to me, I'm going to say yes and accept the challenge. So I was like, yeah, accept the challenge. Let's do it. So now I've been a coach for like a year and a half, with having clients. And at first I just had a couple and I was like, oh, I'm scared to have any. And now I got a lot and I want more and more, and it's amazing and I love it. And I'm just having a lot of fun with all the members, next level members, musical U members, all of them, doing calls. It's fun.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I think we definitely take a slightly unusual approach in the team in terms of finding where people fit. We have this internal core principle of ease and joy, and the philosophy that we really should all enjoy our work. And so, when Adam was helping you filter your tasks, it was coming from that perspective of like, what's easy and joyful for you. We know you can do all these things, you're great at all these things, but what would be the ideal? And I think it goes hand in hand with the growth mindset, I guess. And I love, we talked about this on a team call recently. We were talking about the core principles, and, investing in yourself is one of our principles on the team. And we were talking about growth mindset. And I love your way of putting it about in terms of like your level. Can you share a bit about that? How do you think about growth and taking that next step into something bigger?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Another question where we could do a whole episode, but another thing that Adam told me is the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. So the question I'm asked myself is, how am I growing? How fast am I growing? And then second question is there a way I can grow faster? Who can I ask for help? What can I do? So to me, there's only one level, and it's leveling. Stay leveling is the only level. That's one of my personal mantras. Stay leveling is the only level. I don't believe that anyone is on a higher or lower level. I believe that you either intentionally are growing or you're not. But either way, you're growing in some way or another. We all grow and change in our lives, whether we notice it or not. So growth mindset is like, to me, putting deliberate intention into growing and asking myself that question: how fast am I growing? How can I grow faster? So if it's with a specific skill, how fast am I growing with my jamming? That's what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to get my jammer core, musicality core leveled up. So it's like, how fast am I growing at this? What can I do to grow faster? And that's really it. And I'm an implementer, right? So the rate of your growth is directly related to the rate of your implementation. So as soon as I learn something, I try it out. And then I go and tell other people about it. Like, I learned this thing. That's another thing I've always had throughout my life. And my parents were really awesome. My dad was really great too about hearing everything that I learned. So every time I learned something new, I would tell my dad about it, and he would be excited to hear about it. So that's a big part of growth mindset is you learn something, go play with it, then go tell other people about how it went. And that's kind of like a cycle that I've always been in, and it keeps me growing.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think, when we hire for next level coaches, it's always that combination of kind of domain expertise and the coaching experience and coaching mentality. And I think the way you talked about that just now will give people an idea of why you're such a fantastic coach and facilitating that growth and encouraging your clients onwards. I think it's fair to say those are the two major focuses for you these days: head of member success, overseeing all of our member support and that side of things, and next level coach. If you had to pick one thing, what's your favorite thing to do in your work at Musical U?
Oh man, like picking between those two specific roles? This is anything
at all?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I love learning, and this is my favorite thing, and maybe I love hearing sounds from other members. I love when other members share recordings. I love doing like performance practice calls or any calls where people are playing. In my next level coaching, like, I want to just jam. I want to play. Like, I'm happy to talk and pontificate and think. I obviously like to think. I like to learn. But my favorite thing to do is just have fun, play music. And I love when other members are playing music. When people share recordings on the site, or people jam in a next level coaching call, or people come to the performance practice calls and share recordings or play live, or they share a little something on a drop-in call. Anytime someone like gives me the gift of music, I love experiencing music. So anytime someone shares their music and I get to be blessed to hear it, then I love that. And I especially love if it's like, it doesn't even have to be quote unquote music. It could just be sounds. It could be noises. I love hearing people's sounds and noises. I think sometimes people don't believe me, but I genuinely love all sounds. Like even the crazy dog barking sounds that wake me up in the morning. Sometimes I won't lie. Sometimes they're annoying and I get mad at them. But then, you know, I was like, oh, you know what? It's actually kind of cool. They got like this dog's over to the right, dog's over to the left. They're kind of making this rhythm right now. And I can get into this. Okay. It's much better to wake up getting into a jam than it is getting into a jam. So musical jam rather than a mental frustration jam. So jamming, I love hearing people's music. I think bottom line, I love it when members share music and I get to experience it. I think that's my favorite thing.
Fantastic. And last question then. Can you share one weird or unorthodox or surprising way of developing your musicality that seems like it shouldn't work but does?
Yeah. I have a really fun answer for this, and I got it from our head educator Andrew Bishko, because before I became a next level coach, you know, I was training up to be next level coach. Andrew was training me, and he gave me this. I was singing songs to my cats. So singing, and especially I was like, I want to sing like R&B singer. So he's like, Andrew's like, sing R&B songs to your cats then. Because he's like, because I was already sort of singing little stupid songs to my cats. And so he's like, just sing R&B songs to your cats then. And I started doing that. And it was surprisingly, I was like, hey, this is fun. I can actually do this. And I think the reason it works, so if someone else wants to like have some tip and you're like, I don't have cats, I don't have cats to sing to, you could sing to your dogs or your plants or anything. But the reason that it works, I think, is because it's simple, it's fun, and it's frequent. And I think those are three boxes you can check if you want to like have a really effective musicality practice. Make it simple, make it fun, and make it frequent. Because it was random. I'd sing little songs for like a few seconds or whatever here and there throughout the day. And I was another one of my mindsets is if you stay connected, you don't have to get connected. So that connection between the unexpressed music and the expressed music is a connection. And honestly, once you build that bridge, it's there. You don't have to build it again. Once you know about it, it's there. So then all you have to do is walk across it as much as you can and like notice things like, oh, maybe I can add a fresh piece of wood right here if it's a rickety wood bridge. Like, maybe I add maybe nail in a little something here. That's sort of metaphorical. But as I'm singing R&B songs to my cats, that's essentially what I'm doing to my musicality bridge. Is shoring up little weaknesses and just strengthening that connection. And so if you stay connected, you don't have to get connected. And that's singing R&B songs to my cats.
That is not something I was expecting to hear, but I love it. It's awesome. And it reminds me, like, we don't have cats, but there was this moment with my kids, my two girls, where they started making up songs spontaneously. And I guess all kids do it to some extent, but there was something about the way they were doing it, like it was quite intentional and structured. And I realized it's because I did what Anne told me to do, Anne Mileski, that we referred to earlier. She was like, you know, just sing a lot in the house. Because I was trying to get her tips for like bringing the foundation stuff to kids. Obviously, it started off with kids, but I didn't want to do a lot of like lessons with them. And she was like, just sing a lot. Whatever you're doing, sing about it. And I did. And it kind of like it came out. I might be wrong. I don't think your cats are singing R&B back to you. You won't have quite the same experience I do, but that was really interesting to me to see how that kind of daily immersion in music, like you're talking about, not only was it good for me for staying connected, but it did transfer to them, and that was really fun to see.
Yeah,
Zach, as always, I could talk to you all day, and I love hearing you, as you put it, pontificate as much as you can. Tell people where's the best place to go if they want to hear more of your music, if they want to get the latest news. I mentioned one link earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Like you can go to ZSonic.party. ZSONIC, one word, and then .party. It's not .com or because when I found that URL, I was like, oh, I can buy ZSonic.party. Put it in the cart. I'm getting that one. So ZSonic.party. And yeah, you got there. If you sign up for my email list, you'll get some updates. And it's going to be exciting because, like I said, I got the musicality variety. I just said musicality variety show, but yeah, musicality variety show, musical variety show. It's going to be good. And yeah, so ZSonic.party, sign up for the list and you'll know all about all the awesome things.
Perfect. Well, we'll have that link in the show notes, of course. Zac, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a blast, and I look forward to having you back on the show again. In fact, you'll be back on the show again inadvertently tomorrow for Coach's Corner. We'll have episode 2 where you're featured. But I look forward to having you back with us live again very soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Christopher. It's been a pleasure.
So tomorrow I'll be back, as I said, with our next Coach's Corner episode and also our live training, Discover Your Musical Core. Zac actually gave you a little sneak peek there of what one of the cores might be and what you can discover in that session. It's all about discovering your musical core, who you are, who you want to be, how you can become the musician you want to be. You can just about still register at yourmusicalcore.com if you'd like to join me for that. It's going to be a really good one. I had some people asking in the member site about a replay. We may or may not provide a replay. It really is designed as a live workshop experience where we go through this stuff together. So if you can attend live, absolutely attend live. If we do a replay, it will just be to people who registered. So either way, if the time doesn't work for you, you're going to want to go and register at yourmusicalcore.com. That's it from me. Be back tomorrow for Coach's Corner. See you then. Cheers.